So do we need to change our systems?
Oh, definitely. See, right now, it is anyway going to change in the next 5 to 10 years, not because people are going to become conscious, simply because of artificial intelligence. For a long time, I always wondered, even when I went to the school, an idiotic person who's read a book a few years ahead of me suddenly is acting like they're something superior. Just you read a book few years ahead of me, and how come you're so superior? I don't understand this. If you're a scholar, you read a few books. If you're a religious person, you read just one book and somehow you're superior. How come just by reading one book ahead of me, you become a superior life? All this is going to be demolished in the next 5, 10 years' time. My phone will be able to do 10 PhDs a day. It has enough memory to do that. So all scholars, religious people, people who just keep on vomiting their stuff that they've read elsewhere, this will be nothing. This will be nothing. So, see, there was a time, I remember this very well, in Mumbai port, when the first gantry was installed to load and unload the ships, about 35, 40 years ago maybe, all the labor protested, they went on strikes. Then I was in I'm interested in this thing, so I was visiting some ports recently. I was inquiring what was the size of the vessels then, what is the size of the vessel now, how much time does it take to load, unload. At that time, the biggest vessels were about 30,000 tons or 35,000 tons, in that range. Today, most of the vessels are over 100,000 tons, some of them are 250,000 tons. But at that time, they were taking 26 to 28 days to unload one ship. Today, they unload a ship in less than 24 hours and they're unloading 12, 15 ships at the same time. That is, in one day, 12, 15 ships are unloaded. Why? Because of from man's muscle, we move to machine. Right now, all the professors, scholars, all of them are crying, what will happen to our jobs? It's the same situation. What you could do with your intellect, a machine is coming which can do better. My first brush with artificial intelligence, as I saw it, was when I was 13 years of age. Today's children, everybody is on the iPads and screens all the time. When I was 13, for the first time, I saw a flatbed calculator. So somebody brought it to school, I had never seen anything like that. They said multiplication, tuk, 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 tuk. Just came. Immediately I felt offended because if it can be done like this, why the hell are they torturing me in the arithmetic class? So then I imagined if there was a calculator for physics, chemistry, biology, everything, how wonderful. It took 50 years, now it's coming. All the best for the children of the future, because they don't have to go through this torture of simply trying to retain something in your memory and believe that your memory is intelligence. Your memory is not intelligence. Your memory is a certain capability, all right, but intelligence is a different dimension of life. Consciousness means pure intelligence, unsullied by memory. Now if I look at you, oh, I know Yalda, oh, she's good, she's bad, she's my friend, she's my enemy, this, that, so much nonsense in my head. What happens now is, I don't see you the way you are right now. Yes? If my intelligence is sullied by my memory, I cannot see you and experience you the way you are right now. If I don't see you right now the way you are, I cannot see this flower the way it is right now, I cannot see the sunrise, I cannot see the sunset. For everything I have a stupid meaning in my head. There is no meaning in the phenomena of life. There is no meaning to sunrise, there's no meaning to a flower, there's no meaning to a cloud, there's no meaning to anything. It's just that it's fantastic, that's all. Meaning exists only in the psychological framework of the human being, and these meanings are simply because we are constantly dipping into our memory. In traditional terms in India, when we see people living out of their memory, we say, ayyo karma. That means past memory is ruling them, they will never experience life, they will just recycle the same stuff.
Is it possible to shed or leave behind memory?
I'm sorry?
Is it possible to shed or leave behind your memory?
See, you don't
Because
have to
it's part
shed
of
your
your
memory.
identity.
No. If you shed your memory, you will again walk into the same pits that you walked in the past. Memory is not to be shed, it needs to be carried little loose, that it is not sticking to you all the time. See, your entire body right now is just memory. There is evolutionary memory, there is genetic memory, there is karmic memory, there is conscious, unconscious levels of memory, articulate and inarticulate levels of memory. In yoga, we identify your existence as 8 dimensions of memory. This whole thing is memory, isn't it? See, you may not remember how 10 generations ago your great-grandmother looked like, but her nose is sitting on your face. Body remembers, isn't it? 100%. It doesn't matter where you go, what you do in your life, this body retains every bit of that memory, isn't it? So, this existence is memory, but do you want to use this body and this bank of memory that you have in your mind as a platform upon which you sit, or do you want to carry this on your head? This is the difference. Being conscious means you sit on this platform. Being unconscious means you carry it on your head, the burden of it.
You mentioned artificial intelligence. Are you worried about the future?
No, this is the best time for me. See, let us say, right now, you have read 10,000 things and you remember all that. I have not read anything. So, the value that you have is only the memory you have. But now I have a little gadget which knows 1,000,000 times more than you know. So now what is the value for you and me? What kind of a human being I am is the only value, isn't it? What nonsense you carry in your head is of no value. So this is a great time for me. This is great time for humanity, because now you being a human being will become more important than what nonsense you carry in your head. I'm sorry, this is head talk.
So are you saying then that we are living in the best time in history?
Definitely. Is there any question? Never before human survival was as well organized as it is today. If you had to start your morning, you had to take a bucket and go to River Thames, which is a mile away, and carry this bucket full of water. Tell me in this room, how many people are even fit enough to carry a bucket full of water for a mile? Now we're complaining because the warm water is not coming. There are two knobs you have to turn for warm and cold water. You want a single knob, so people are freaking in the morning. 2 knobs have to handle. So, survival is better organized than ever before. When our concern was survival, we couldn't pay attention to other dimensions of life. See, once you come as a human being, if you had come as any other creature, stomach full, life settled. Once you come as a human being, stomach empty, only one problem, stomach full, 100 problems. Why this is so is, our life is not fulfilled with survival. When our survival is in question, we are just like any other creature. Only when survival is fulfilled, the dimensions of being human kicks in into our experience. When you're thinking of where is my next meal, we don't expect you to be very human. You lose it in many ways. Now survival is settled for a large part of humanity. Unfortunately, there's still populations for whom it's still a struggle. But I would say at least for 60% of the population on the planet, for the first time, survival is better organized than ever before. The world is safer than ever before, though people are constantly complaining. Well, you're talking about Sri Lanka, yes, it's an unfortunate incident. But 1,000 years ago, if 1,000 people died just 100 miles away, you would be sitting here thinking world is super peaceful. Yes or no? Today it's because of BBC that somebody dies somewhere, the blood flows into your sitting room. It's a good thing, at least your humanity is being evoked, otherwise it'll sleep. So I'm saying, In terms of violence, we are more peaceful than ever before. Our survival is organized better than ever before, and above all, our ability to communicate is better than ever before. These are not small things. Now the question is, what are we going to communicate? Are we going to abuse each other? Are we going to throw dirty things at each other? Or are we going to do something that will transform us as a generation, because this is our time on the planet? Are we going to make this the greatest time in the world ever? Or are we going to let this pass? That's all we have on our hands. What else do we have? That's all we have. All we have is a little bit of time, isn't it? Hello? All we have is a little bit of time. But most people think they're immortal. That's why they don't do anything. Because they think only other people die. They don't understand you and me will die. When we are born, we are geared to die. So it's only a question of time. Time is ticking away right now. As you sit here, from the time we came and sat here, we're 20 minutes closer to our graves, all of us. Yes, if you're conscious, if you think about death once in a way, it'll become a morbid thought. But if you're conscious that you're mortal, you would organize your time in the most productive possible way, isn't it?
Are you worried about global leadership though? I mean, you say we're living in the best time it's the best time for us in terms of survival and technology, but if we look at the global phenomenons at the moment, I mean, even if we look at what's happening in this country with Brexit and identity politics and people feeling like they need to belong to a certain type of thinking or group on either side of the spectrum, is that not dividing us more and more?
See, I think this reaction is happening not just here, in many places across the world. I've been talking to media and others saying, don't push the pendulum too much on one side, it'll inevitably swing the other way around. So people have been pushing it too much on one side about politically being correct, saying the right word, not the right thing. The right word you must use. If I say mankind, women will react. I'm saying, is everybody so screwed up in their head? All the time they're discriminatory? I don't think so. Some people are, of course. But today it's become like this. You know, it was very natural for me, if you see a child, you want to pick up the child, you want to do something, you want to talk to them, you want to hug them, whatever, because it's like a fresh flower. But today, you don't know whether to touch the child or not, because people are making such a big deal about it. I am not saying there are no issues, there are serious issues, this which needs to be addressed. But at the same time, when we push it to a paranoia level, instead of taking necessary steps, we make it a paranoia among people, then the other swing is inevitably going to come. Now somebody is saying, don't worry about all this ecological nonsense, nothing is going to happen, everything is fine, let's do everything as it is because this is all rubbish, because you pushed it too much. This is very important to understand, people who are concerned in this world. If you are a concerned human being, it's very important, whatever you think is right, you must not push it too much. If you push it too much, the reverse pendulum will anyway happen, you're seeing that right now. Talking about Brexit, is it okay? Because I think you already made up your mind, so… See, could you sell this idea to anybody in 1945? 1945, could you sell this idea that Germans, French, Italians, Spanish, English all come together as a union? Could you even think, I'm asking, after World War II? So in 50 years' time, when such a thing happens, it's not just an economic arrangement, it's a huge step in human consciousness, that with people that you fought so bitterly, bitterly means it can't be any worse, human beings can't find any worse than that. After that, within 50 years, when the generation is still alive, many members of that generation are still alive, you thought of coming together, it's not a small thing. It's not just economic arrangement, it's not just euro versus your pound or whatever. It is a tremendous step for humanity. but now you want to go back on it. It's done.
On that note. On that note, I just want to open up to the audience and give you a chance to ask some questions from Sadhguru. Just stand up, introduce yourself, and we'll start here on the front row.
I'm Meenakshi and I work in technology, Sadhguru. So thrilled and privileged to be here, feeling blessed. Thank you. My question is that in Kali Yuga, is it possible to take the Advaitic meditative route to try and get in touch with your consciousness without a guru and the guru mantra? Or should one pursue Namasmaran and Bhakti Marg as the way one tries everything but is flapping in the wind?
See, you're a technology person, and I'm asking all of you. Well, each one of you may have your own religious beliefs or whatever, but please look at it sincerely. Your belief is only to a point of convenience, isn't it so? Are you willing to believe to such an extent? You have children? Children?
Yes.
So, are you willing to leave the future of your children in God's hands and leave it, just do Namsmaran and leave them on the street? Because, street is also in God's hands, right? Are you capable? No. Are you willing to leave your home, doors open, your wealth, everything open, because God is there anyway? No, you do everything that matters to you. You're keeping God as insurance. All right? So, when you're in this state of mind, don't talk about devotion, it won't work. Devotion is a fantastic thing. Devotion is another dimension of intelligence. But with the kind of education that you've gone through, and your intelligence has become very skewed just by exercising one aspect, that is the intellect. Right now, our education systems are exercising only one dimension of your intelligence, that is just the intellect. If I ask you a simple question, would you want your intellect to be sharp or blunt, all of you? Make a choice, I'm going to bless you. So you want it sharp. So essentially, it's a cutting instrument. So let us say you have one knife in your hand and you want to do all the activity of your life with the knife. Well, you can cut things well with a knife. But if you want to stitch your clothes, you use a knife. You will inevitably be in tatters, isn't it? That's all that's happening today. Because you're exercising just one dimension of your intelligence, which is the intellect, which is a discriminatory, sharp instrument which slices open, dissects things. Now, I want to know something physical, I want to dissect it. Now I want to know you, shall we dissect you? Is that the way to know you, I'm asking? If I dissect you, will I know anything about you? Is it possible, I'm asking? By embracing you, by including you, I may know something. By dissecting you, what will I know? What will work for a physical substance, you're trying to apply to your own life. It's not going to work like this. See, the more educated people are becoming, the more disturbed they're becoming. Education should have settled them, isn't it? Education should have enhanced life. But tell me, who is causing maximum damage on this planet? Educated people or uneducated people? Hello? Educated people, isn't it? Educated people should have been the solution. Educated people are the problem. Simply because we are using a knife for everything. If you want this thing, there was a time when I was crisscrossing India on my motorcycle. So one whole night I've been riding. I'm somewhere between Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh, I don't know which state, somewhere around there in the border. So early morning around 6:30, I end up at a tea shop. Full night I've been riding. Then, people who ride motorcycles, they will know one problem is always that every 500 kilometers those days, the chain will become slack. So you have to take off a link and put it back, tighten the chain. This is a very easy job, but it's messy because of the grease and stuff, your hands will become messy. So I'm just about preparing for breakfast, I'm not willing to mess. Then I see on the opposite side a shack which says Mubarak Mechanical Works. Then I see a young boy there and I say, hey, can you tighten my chain? He said, yes, yes, full enthusiasm. Then he goes inside and brings his tools. What he brings? He brings a chisel and a hammer. Then I say, what you going to do with that? He said, yeah, I can do it. I said, wait. Then I walk into his garage and look, only what he has is chisel and hammer. He can fix it, but after that, that's the end of it. So right now, this is what you're trying to do. You're trying to fix everything with the sharpness of your intellect. You will become a mess. The more you do it, more mess you will become. You only satisfaction you have is, you know words and things that other people do not know, but you are a total mess. Yes, because the other dimensions of intelligence have not been opened up in the society, largely. Not everybody, but largely. The systems, there are no systems to open up other dimensions of intelligence. So when we say devotion, we're talking about a completely different dimension of intelligence. Devotion is not about belief. Devotion is not about going to a temple, church or mosque. Tell me, is there anybody in this world, either in sport, art, music, business, spirituality, whatever, has anybody done anything significant without being absolutely devoted to what they're doing?